thanks to Thrive Market for sponsoring today's video. If you're new here, I'm Elizabeth. I'm a holistic nutritionist, a mom of 4, and I love to cook and just be in the kitchen. I'm really excited about today's video because I feel like we all need that friend to sometimes just give us encouragement and to support us and uplift us when we're trying to make healthier choices and changes in our life. So today I'm going to share my approach and how I like to make healthy eating feel the opposite of overwhelming, but make it feel approachable and livable so you're not so overwhelmed that you just want to run from it. So I'm going to share my tips, my approach, how I like to put meals together so it's practical but still healthy and yummy. And if you want to chat about anything, just leave it below in the comments because I'd love to hear what you have going on for health and wellness right now, so leave that down below. And before we get into the meals, I want to share my first tip, which is to buy what you actually want to give your body. So keeping good staples on hand so you can cook from them, so you can put together easy meals from basic ingredients that are already healthy gives you a really good starting point. So I'm big on making sure that I have things like avocado oil and olive oil and other little things like that in my house. Having those things on hand is so crucial to keeping your healthy eating habits sustainable. And that is why I partner with Thrive on today's video. So thank you, Thrive Market, for partnering with me on this video today. I talk about Thrive Market all the time because it's a go-to for me and for my family. It's a convenient online grocery store and everything there has been checked for artificial flavors, colors, sweeteners. Everything's 100% non-GMO and there's a ton of organic options. They have the highest industry standard as far as that kind of stuff goes, so it makes it really easy to swap out conventional things that you already have in your house for a healthier alternative. I love them for pantry staples like avocado oil and olive oil, no guar gum coconut milk that I can't find at any other store. I can always find at Thrive Market. And then on the go high protein snacks and things that I like to keep in my purse like sprouted almonds or Chomp's beef sticks. Those are two of my favorite. And then I also recently discovered these little packets of almond butter and they have 6 grams of protein and lots of good healthy fats, and they're perfect just to pop in your purse. All healthy, really good for you purse snacks. And then of course all the staples I have to have as a mom, like things like ketchup and mayo for sandwiches. There's so much you can do with just good healthy staples. They really have it all and at an affordable price too. So if you want to check them out too, you can click the link below in the description box or just go to thrivemarket.com/healthy Elizabeth, and they're gonna give you guys 30% off your first box plus a free gift up to $60 when you join Thrive today. So thanks so much to Thrive Market for sponsoring today's video. I want to really bring the focus on whole foods because a lot of times when we're trying to eat healthy and learn how to make and cook these healthy meals, it can feel overwhelming, but I think a lot of that comes down to a lot of our food these days is processed and we just have so many options that we almost need to kind of pull back a little bit and focus on the whole foods. These are really simple foods, but they're nutritionally dense and they're widely available to almost all of us, and they contain the most nutrition. Now, if you can make them at home or if you can grow them at home, that's even better. But in general, they are the most nutritious. They have the fiber, the nutrients, the vitamins and minerals, and we need to stick to those whole foods. So here's an example that you could do every single week, and it is simply by placing some chicken into a slow cooker or an instant pot. I love those tools because they make it just so easy. You can set it and forget it, and you kind of have your health already dialed in and you don't have to think about it. So I'm taking some chicken this week and I'm seasoning it with a Greek kind of seasoning to it. I'll have all my recipes on healthyelizabeth.com, and I add some onion to it. Again, very simple, a little squeeze of lemon, and then slow cook it all day. And you have chicken that you can put in the fridge and pull out anytime or have it ready to go later for dinner. I find that a lot of the time we get to the point where we make our protein or we find one thing and we meal prep it, and then we almost kind of get stuck there and we have trouble turning that into meals that we're not going to get sick of. So I want to show you how I take that chicken and then I pair it with something like sweet potatoes. It's a whole food. You can cook it a number of different ways, but one of my family's favorites are sweet potato fries. So this is something you could buy frozen, but a lot of times they're going to have seed oils on them, and so it's a lot better to make them yourself, and it's usually cheaper too. So I'm taking my sweet potatoes and I cut them up into fries. You can cut them smaller or into wedges if you want them thicker, but I usually like a nice medium size. They cook up really nicely this way. And I toss them with a lot of oil, either olive oil or avocado oil. You could do either. And then I season them in a variety of ways, but usually it's
onion, garlic powder, paprika. Sometimes I'll even do chili powder for a little smokiness. It goes especially well with Mexican food or that kind of Tex-Mex type style of dishes like black beans and rice. And I'll season that and I'll leave the salt for at the end because I want these to crisp up in the oven. Again, they're oven baked, so that's even better for us than getting something that's been fried when we're out to eat. So I love just getting a big sheet pan, spreading it all out on a little bit of parchment paper and getting this into the oven at 425 and letting it cook and get nice and crispy. And then I pair that alongside that delicious slow cooked chicken, and you have whole foods, you have good carbs. It's even kid friendly. You can add a little bit of ketchup on the side. You could do organic or unsweetened and make that healthier option for your kids too, because I know a lot of us have families to feed and it gets complicated. A lot of the time I'll keep a little bit of cabbage salad in my fridge. That's raw vegetables with apple cider vinegar, and I pair that all together with a little bit of dipping sauce. Sometimes it's a homemade tzatziki or just a Greek yogurt dip, and there you go. You have a delicious meal full of all of the right things, and it's really easy to change up the flavors here. Just making simple whole food meals can be really delicious. This is one of my standard go-to meal formulas: protein, a baked vegetable, and then a nice fresh salad. I feel like any kind of combination is always a hit with my family and makes sure everyone has something that they like. Another thing that I love doing for lunches are salads. I love making salads that have lots of protein. So here I have some just oven roasted chicken. You can get a whole chicken and just cook it in the oven, low and slow, cover it with a little bit of foil. It's so easy to make your own homemade rotisserie chicken. I have recipes that I can share with you on my website. And I love using other whole food ingredients in my salads, like apples. So instead of putting lots and lots of sweet dressing, you can actually just take fruit and get the whole amount of fiber and water content and everything that's in the peel and in the skin. And then you can make your own homemade dressing, which I also love doing. Drizzle that over the top, add a few nuts, and then you have your protein, your fat, your fiber, some good carbs from the apple. And this is a really easy lunch that you can put together in 5 minutes. Just make sure you have some chicken in the fridge. Another trick I love doing is using my kitchen scissors to cut it all up into a chopped salad, because this actually makes it easier to eat a lot of cups of salad per day. If you're starting out and you're not eating a lot of vegetables, leafy greens are a good place to start. They're easier on your gut than things like cabbage and kale. And if you feel like you're getting bloated after you eat a bunch of raw vegetables or greens, just ease up on it a little bit until your gut develops those enzymes, because they'll grow and multiply, and then you'll be able to digest more veggies. So start out with those leafy greens. I promise you they're packed full of nutrients. Now, when it comes to snacking, I like to think of it as a mini meal. That way, I'm not just grabbing one thing to snack on, but I'm thinking about all of my food groups here and how I can get a good amount of nourishment and in that meal in order to keep my hunger at bay. What I love doing is taking something that may be more processed or packaged and pairing that with nutrient-dense foods like berries, nuts, or even cheese that is packed full of fats that are going to keep you really full throughout your day. When you're working on creating better eating habits, a lot of times we can get really overwhelmed because we start by taking on everything, but I want to encourage you to really start small. It could be as simple as adding something like a cabbage salad to your weekly routine and having that on the side of dinner, on the side of lunch, or even just chopping up carrots and having some raw vegetables on the side of your meals. That's something I'm trying to do more of, because I want to not have every vegetable I eat be cooked, but I want to have some raw veggies in there too, because there's benefits to eating raw and cooked veggies. So I want to have that variety in my life, and just adding a little bit of carrots or cucumber on the side of your meals can give you that. If you're someone who only likes cucumbers or carrots, eat all the carrots, eat all the cucumber. You want to make sure that you find those foods that you actually enjoy and then find ways to incorporate that in a super easy, basic way. So even just adding more whole foods to the side of your meals can be greatly beneficial. I find that it really helps to regulate my appetite, because instead of just filling up on something like rice at a meal, I'm eating the proper amount of rice, but then I'm filling up with raw veggies too. That kind of keeps my stomach full and satisfied. And that also helps to help create new taste buds, so I have a taste for those things like veggies. The biggest key for me to constantly be eating healthy is stocking my fridge with foods that are almost prepared like a grocery store little food bar. So I have things in my fridge ready to go that are either meal prepped or ingredient prepped. So this doesn't mean having every single meal in a little compartment. It just means that you can have a bowl full of shredded salad or chicken that's already cooked or marinated in your fridge. And so that is what I love doing. I find the most success when I'm ready to go. And then it doesn't matter how busy you get, you always have something you can pull out. So today I'm showing you one of my favorite things to do, and that is just to marinate some chicken. So I love using different cuts of chicken. You can use the ones that have more fat content in them, like chicken thighs, and that's going to keep you fuller a lot longer. It helps stabilize your insulin levels. So I definitely don't steer clear of the fat. I just try to buy good quality meat. And so I'm going to take some chicken today and marinate it in a Greek yogurt marinade. So it's going to marinate and kind of get really tender. It's almost like a Greek style again, but a different version. And all you need are just some spices, Greek yogurt, lemon juice, and that's going to break down that chicken, make it super nice and tender and juicy. And this actually adds more protein to your chicken. Using that Greek yogurt to kind of coat it not only makes it more delicious, but it actually adds more protein to the meal too. You can just put in your chicken and then put it in the fridge, and you can have that ready to go for the next day, or you can get to it later. And I love just putting this on a sheet pan and air frying it in the air fryer and getting it nice and tender. And you can chop it up or you can have it whole for dinner. But having things that are already prepped and in the fridge really is what changes the game, because then you're not relying on your daily motivation. You're always kind of one step ahead of yourself. And I find that for me, this is key. In my process of learning about health and nutrition, I've been through all the different diets, and they can be very, very rigid. And so I find that finding something that is sustainable is the most important to focus on and what truly makes an impact. So finding something that works for your lifestyle. Does it work for your family? And are you still able to do things like eat out or enjoy a treat with your kids? Finding the true balance is where things really start to change, because all of a sudden it doesn't feel like something that's rigid that you're trying to stick to. It just truly feels like who you are and how your life is. And so just looking at each new day as an opportunity to choose those good for you foods, because you know how it reflects in the way you feel and in the way you think, is so important. And that's why I try to incorporate everything in my diet, whether that be sugar or just a better version of sugar like coconut sugar or raw sugar, good quality dairy. I'll even include gluten in there as long as it's a good quality bread, like homemade sourdough. There are so many different foods that I leave in my diet, because then it feels like you have freedom with your food. And when you do, it almost empowers you to want to make those healthy choices. So each week when I'm doing my meal prep and ingredient prep, I try to prep different things. So I like having a protein that's ready to go, and then I'll do something like a salad dressing and a vegetable. And one of my favorite vegetables to meal prep or even just ingredient prep are the brassicas. And this is like broccoli, cabbage, kale, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts. I love doing these because they're super potent in a bunch of different antioxidants. They have a lot of phytochemicals that help reduce inflammation in our body, and you definitely don't want to be in a chronically inflamed state. That is the cause of a lot of the major diseases these days. So it's really important to get more of these brassicas in our diet, and it can be delicious. So I'm doing a little bit of garlic parmesan Brussels sprouts this week, and I'm doing just halved Brussels sprouts. You drizzle them with oil and then toss them with garlic or garlic powder. And then I do some grated, really finely grated Parmesan cheese and toss that all together, get on a baking sheet. I love to spritz my baking sheet first. That way the bottom gets nice and crispy. And then over the top, I'll drizzle some more oil, and you just roast these in the oven until they're nice and brown and crispy. And they store in the fridge so well. You can just reheat them, and they're great on the side of any lunch or dinner. And even breakfast too. The other day I made some scrambled eggs and I put these on the side of it and had a little bit of hot sauce, and it kind of made like a breakfast bowl. So don't be afraid to eat your veggies at breakfast too. This is something that is super beneficial and sets up your whole day, because you've already got all of the fiber in there, and it gets your taste buds going for what's really good for you. And you may be thinking roasting Brussels sprouts is too simple, but that's actually the point. We need to make these things simple but actionable. This way you have all of the basics covered, you know what you're doing, and you can build from there. You can make recipes that are a little more complicated. You can prep things that have more flavor to it. But being able to start from a pretty basic place and build from there is going to give you that confidence you need and kind of grow along with you as you journey through creating this healthier lifestyle for yourself. It truly doesn't have to be complicated. You just have to become the person that eats the vegetable, that does some movement, and that reaches for the apple over a processed snack. At least a good amount of the time. I'm a huge believer in the 80-20%, where 80% of the time you're eating real whole foods and 20% is just for life. Just live your life. But even 70-30, that's also a good alternative. As much of the good stuff you can get in your body, the better. Which is why I'm going to show you some of my favorite indulgences in just a second, because I definitely have those too. Some things at the grocery store by default are trickier to find clean versions of, whether that's the oils or being sugar laden. So one of those things for me that I think is a little more challenging to find is salad dressings that are nice and clean and healthy. That's the last thing you want to do is pour a bottle of something inflammatory all over your healthy salad. You got to stop doing that. You've got to start making real homemade dressings for yourself or finding a clean alternative. So I want to show you one of my favorites. It's an apple cider vinaigrette, but I actually just recently discovered peach vinegar. So it's raw with the mother peach vinegar instead of apple cider vinegar, or it's peach cider vinegar instead of apple cider vinegar. And it is so delicious and has the best flavor. So if you can get your hands on it or even make your own, I have some peach trees in my backyard, and next summer it's calling my name to make my homemade peach vinegar. But taking just a little bit of peach vinegar or apple cider vinegar that's raw, with a little bit of Dijon mustard, some maple syrup, salt, pepper, and olive oil, shake it up in a jar, and you have liquid gold that you can put on anything that has so many health benefits. Between the raw apple cider vinegar that's fantastic for gut health, you have the mustard, which is so good for you too. There's lots of benefits to mustard seed. And then of course you have good olive oil. That is one of the best foods you can consume is good oil. So there's so many benefits in here, and it just makes anything taste so good. You can just drench your greens in it and feel good about it. I love to allow room in my life and in my diet for little indulgences, but one of the things I really enjoy and I think is helpful is to make them smaller and slightly healthier if you can. So instead of just reaching for the most processed treat in the grocery store shelves, try reaching for a variety of different things. And I love little single serving things as well. So I love things like mochi. These are like little strawberry ice creams, but then they have this kind of rice dough around it, and they are such a treat. What I love about them is just one is enough. They have a great texture and I truly savor it. And I think it's so important to have those kind of treats that you truly savor. I love picking up different things from the store, whether it's a mini Greek yogurt bar. Those are some of my favorite, and they actually have a little bit of protein in them. But there are also other things you can do, just like a piece of fruit, or if you like chocolate, having some sort of dark chocolate that has health benefits to it. Or sometimes I'll just do Greek yogurt and put a few chocolate chips on top along with berries and kind of turn it into a sweeter treat. But there are so many different things, even like these little vanilla, I think they're custards or puddings, and they have better ingredients. So they're made with organic dairy and there's just a few ingredients to them. So even though they are an indulgence and a dessert, they do have sugar in them. They're less processed. It's easier for your body to recognize what to do with it, and it's in a proper portion size. You can add to the end of your dinner and feel satisfied. So I hope this video really helped inspire you to not feel overwhelmed when you're trying to eat these healthy meals. It really can be simple and you don't have to obsess over it. This can be something that truly brings joy to your life. You don't have to be perfect in it. You always have to remember that it is not about perfection. Simply putting in effort to try to be a healthier version of yourself is already commendable. Don't forget to share this video with a friend because we can all use a helping hand. You can go to thrivemarket.com/healthy Elizabeth and join Thrive today to get 30% off your first order, plus a free gift up to $60. And thanks so much for joining me in the kitchen today.